life can get disrupted pretty quick. We're so dependent on technology and electricity in general. If any of those things get disrupted, your way of life is totally turned upside down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our podcast called Light Prepped. My name is Dan Bora. I have with me Daniel Sharban and David Sharban, who we're very happy to sort of start on this journey of this podcast. We're very happy to tell you all about it. And so we'll kind of
How you doing,
begin
Danny?
now. So, welcome, David, Daniel, myself,
Hi,
since
Danny.
we're definitely just starting this out. It's a huge journey we've been planning for. But okay, real quick, we wanted to jump right in to let you know what this is all about. Life Prepped is a website slash a company that focuses on being prepared for life, and we'll dive into that a little bit later. But before we dive into all of that, I wanted to kind of hand over the mic to David and Daniel, who are really the founders and the brains of this website, of the vision of this company, and really there's this mission that we're on to get as many families prepared. But I don't want to spoil that for you guys, so that's why I want to kind of first and foremost kind of ask here as a team to you guys who are really the brain behind this concept and what we're trying to achieve, this mission. Why is Life Prep start first and foremost?
Yeah, thank you, Donnie. We're happy to have you on. And I think it is something that we've had for years. Just you know, just being prepared. I probably everybody heard of preppers and the prepper community, and whenever you think of that, you kind of think of a an extreme some like ex-commando guys that are like all bugging out and like they're ready for post-apocalyptic times and all that. um Real life is just everybody's got they're at home, they have their family, friends. And one thing we realized is our friends and families are not prepared of what could be coming. And I mean, you're seeing on the news, all kinds of crazy stuff that could be happening, 2024 election year, war, rumors of war, of course, all kinds of, crazy stuff that could be happening. And we're not here to, fear monger like some of the, stuff you see out there. That's not our main mission, to put fear into you, but, doing a reality check. I think everybody around the world, 2020, it was just kind of like a, hey, life can get disrupted pretty quick, whether it's pandemic or just restrictions by government, different, all kinds of things, people running the stores, for freaking toilet paper. That was just weird, seeing people fighting for
Yeah.
to get something necessity. So we just talking to people, we're seeing, our friends, they have, nice house, they have clothes, they have their cars and furniture and their TV and all the gadgets and all that stuff. What happens though if something does happen and disrupts, like for example, we're so dependent on just technology and electricity in general. If any of those things get disrupted, your way of life is totally turned upside down. So talking to our friends and family, they said, I'm not prepared, guys. Like, they don't have, they could probably last, everybody I talked to, they could probably last from like, you know I would say maybe a few days to like maybe a week or so. What would you say, Donnie? Like, uh, just
Yeah, basically.
it's not good. I mean, that's
No.
why we want to do a kind of like a no nonsense, nothing real, you know, I mean, we're looking long term too, but even if it was for 2 weeks, like the Texas, power grid went down that time in 2017, was it?
17
About
days.
200 people died. 17 days without power. Can you survive 17 days without power? I mean, if there's no more stores to go to, because in a couple of days there's going to be a run on everything that's necessities. People are going to freak out. They're going to go get their stuff. Credit cards are not going to work anymore, or debit cards if the power's out. So you're going to like, then it's like, do you have cash on you to buy all this stuff? And are you ready to go and fight for necessities and be in a huge looting and rioting in the stores? Do you want to put yourself in that kind of situation? And also, you don't want to depend on government aid, right? You're not you don't want to plan to go with your family to a FEMA camp. You want to go to a, a camp maybe, or go to a nice camp, but you don't want to go to a FEMA camp. So if you have everything ready and you're ready to stay at home, and you have lighting, you have food, water, all necessities, and you can ride this thing out for like, a month, 2 months, depending on, what you want to prepare for. It just feels like, man, it's like insurance. It's like you get, we were just saying, that's Danny, you were just talking about that. It's
Yeah, so this concept is probably the only concept, as far as like preparing yourself for the something that bad that can happen, is the only time that you're hoping it never happens. You're hoping that the money you spent and the time you spent preparing is wasted. Unfortunately, it's kind of funny how that works. Sounds a little weird, but so all the insurance that you pay on your car and your whatever, life insurance, health insurance. Health insurance is a big one. Everybody
Yeah.
has that. You're not saying like, oh man, I spent like thousands of dollars every year on health insurance. Man, nothing ever happened. What a waste of money. You're actually pretty happy it never happened, that you didn't need it. And if you did, it was there to help you. But same with some of these things, it's things that I'm really happy I have everything I need. For instance, we're very well prepped for almost anything that can happen, Lord willing. Um, and I'm really happy if nothing happens at all. If we just have awesome days ahead and nothing, no catastrophes, I'll be so happy that nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
One thing comes to mind, and um, there's an item that we'll be explaining here, but there's this thing some families have and I have as well. It's called a de-choker. Um, I
Yeah.
think it
Yep.
costs like $60 or something. And it's really awesome for like if a kid or you are choking, you can like you don't need to use a Heimlich maneuver, which sometimes doesn't work. Um, you know, you're not saying like, "Oh, I have that in my cupboard. I've never used it. What a waste of money." You're like happy it never happened. You're happy that you have it there, and that's what I think. What we realize is that everybody is a prepper to a degree. We all prepare for unseen things that may happen. We want to take it a step, just a step further, and to not only prepare for everyday things that can happen, like there was a water main break in Atlanta that lasted a few days, and there was no, I don't know if there's no water or what exactly the gravity of it was, but
that was just recent,
yeah, that
right?
was recently, a few weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
um there's certain things that can happen like really fast, and it catches you by surprise. But if you have a few things ready, I think it's it's very good to have this knowledge because I mean, I'm single and I'm fine. I can deal with a lot of things on my own, but if I had a family, I'd be a lot more alarmed, because there's, I have people expecting things from me, and I have to
Yeah.
protect them. And I think people need to be a little bit more serious about this. They shouldn't be more of a, oh, it can never happen to me attitude, because it does happen to people all around the country. Every, there's flooding, there's all kinds of things that happen. We're not even talking about post-apocalyptic things, Mad Max or whatever. I mean, there's celebrities buying bunkers for a reason. I don't know. We're not saying you should, but there's possibility of even some very big disruptions. Like 2008 or Great Depression or things like that that can happen. But that's not. You don't have to focus only on that. There are some people that are really doom and gloom, like the sky's falling kind of mentality, and I don't think that's the main reason here. I think we need to. Things can happen, tornadoes. A lot of things happen, all the time. So I think it's we want to, with life prepped, we want to be able to help um, just the average person, like us, just have some contingency, some things that are, some lifelines that would really help and set you apart from everybody else.
Yeah,
Um,
so with listening to our podcast and learning this stuff and actually applying it may one day actually save your life, or you could
yeah,
actually help your neighbors, your friends and family, and you're going to be in a position that few are. Like you're probably going to be in the top 5% of the population as far as being prepared for anything that happens. So it's just good to have that. I think it's a very, like we said, I hope, we pray and hope none of that stuff ever, we
Yeah.
never have to use some of that stuff, but just, it's good to have it,
So it
it
sounds to me like the why, for you, David, it started out in 2020 when all those things happened with the pandemic and people were very unprepared, and that kind of got you potentially to think about this and be more prepared.
well, I would
And
say it happened a lot longer before that. Just coming from so we are from Romania originally, and so are you. So we know in '89 we had the Romanian Revolution,
yeah,
where in our town, so this is something that we experienced firsthand, me and my brother. I was 9 years old, or yeah, almost 10 probably, and my
I think it
brother
was
was about
four.
7. So the revolution broke out. There was not much, anticipation at all, except some chatter on the radios that they might happen, and my dad was listening to that stuff. But all of a sudden, we're seeing stuff. The television was taken over. I mean, it was a lot of shooting downtown, helicopters going above our house. There was actually bullets that were coming into our courtyard in Romania there. So
Romania.
it was actually, yeah, like people would die from, just a bullet going through, a stray bullet from downtown while they're, eating breakfast. They would just get like shot with that. And what happened is something related to this that we went through already, and it could happen, is the mayor was the son of the dictator of our town, which is Sibiu. So they said that he wanted to hold the grip on the Sibiu, this town. So he didn't want to lose power, since he's one of the main guys. So he had everybody panicked, and rumors were that he poisoned the water in the whole system, in the whole city. So my parents were like, you know, we have to figure out some way, to survive the next few days without water. So they started using whatever they had. They fed us like whatever, some kind of fruit juice that they put in, they can. So They started feeding us that. Some people started boiling the water, trying to disinfect whatever it was, but we are not sure. We didn't have the filtration that we could, that now we do. And but it was just a scary time. And I remember that we had to duck down at times, because the shooting was so loud and so crazy, and everybody was panicked. Neighbors were just barricading themselves inside their homes. um, and it just happened all of a sudden. Thank God it only lasted for a few days. It was a quick one. But imagine if it was a long drawn out, you know
Civil War.
yeah, civil war, or it that can happen. I mean, it can, just a spark needs to happen, and some crazy stuff where it disrupts the whole system. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's why, yeah, it's
Yep.
it's real. It can happen.
So the reason you guys kind of came up with this concept in this podcast, and you're passionate about this, is kind of roots into kind of what happened at the revolution in Romania. Um, and then I assume some of the events that happened in 2008, and then obviously in 2020, and potentially
Yeah.
some others, kind of say,
Yeah,
hey, this is a really big need.
yeah,
Don, the other thing you touched upon, as far as like the why, I, I, I what I heard and what I felt, and I know talking to you guys, um, you kind of wanted to have a resource out there for people to kind of pull this out of their back pocket, kind of like the choker, and have it be a tool that they could use right away if they get into the situation again of where they need to survive, right? Kind of like,
Yeah.
right. So that's a passion of yours, to prepare
Hmm.
this. I'll kind of say what I came alongside of you guys in this concept that you guys created, called Life Prepped, and we'll kind of go deeper into what does that mean and what's the name all about, blah blah blah. But my why, as I began to understand, um, the need. So I have a family, and I remember in 2020 when everything kind of started happening and everybody was rushing to get to the stores and buy stuff. I remember I was kind of like, whatever, I'll go to the store tomorrow and buy whatever I need. But my wife and happened that my mother in law was also over there. Like, no, you need to go now. Like, and I realized, now that I have a family, it's different. I don't have to, like you guys said. You have much bigger responsibilities on your shoulder, and so anyway, to me, my why, I realized as I have a family and I need to be prepared now because the bird's much bigger. I'm responsible for more people. I think there's thousands and thousands of families around the U.S. and around the world that have that same burden. And I think my why is if there's a few of these people and families that, God forbid, things were to happen again, you know, and it could be like you guys said, it doesn't have to be some major pandemic. It could be an earthquake in your area or a tornado, blah blah blah. I would love to know that hundreds of lives were saved, thousands of lives, because of this message that and these products and these talks that we're having in this podcast. It would save lives, or just completely made the situation much better for a family. I mean, that's my why. And so I'm excited to kind of start this journey. And if it just at the end it just saves one family, if it saves one person, heck,
exactly.
I'll think it's all worth it. So
Exactly.
we'll be talking about this. That's what this podcast sort of is about. It's called Life Prepped, and you can kind of divide the two words, and you begin to understand what this is going to be about. But it's probably going to cover a lot of subjects, not strictly about survival, but really, we believe as a company, as a team here, that Life Prep goes beyond just like what you have in your house prepared for that emergency, but it goes way beyond that. Financial prepared, maybe spiritual prepared, etc. All right. Okay. So I'll
Yeah.
I'll kind of leave it at that. Thank you guys for. Another thing that I wanted to ask you guys, and like I said, I'm kind of a little bit acting like I'm from the outside, but for our audience here, it leaves a better process.
You're a prepper too, man.
So where did the name come from of Light Prep?
Well, we
What's the
just
story?
figured.
What's the story behind that? And then the next thing I want to ask you guys is what your backgrounds or our backgrounds. So what's the
Mhm.
story on the name?
Yeah, I would say we just thought about, you have to be prepared in life for everything, spiritually, mentally, and physically. That's what we're going to be actually trying to give as much as we learned along the way, and we're still learning. Obviously, it's a journey. We're still learning. We're not going to pretend that we're the experts on every single category, but you know doing this for many years, and researching, and actually spending time with experts that we know, and friends of ours. We learned a lot of stuff, and just like we said, being prepared for life. That's basically what the life prep was like in general. So some of the things that we always wanted to acquire, let's say a really high quality water filtration for your house. We wanted to not be dependent on electricity, like for example the Berkey filter that we highly recommend. Every family should have one of those. We have one at the office, we have one at home, we have one at the cabin. That thing doesn't require anything. You can basically collect water from the
Oh,
sky. Yeah, you just have to somehow collect the water, put it in that filter, and it filters it out by the gallons, and you don't have to change the filter. So getting one of these items in your house, you use it daily, so it's for life. It's something that's it it benefits you whether it's a disaster or not. So some of these things that we've discovered, we want other people to take advantage of having certain things in their life.
Yep. All right. Cool. Yeah. Donnie, you probably have your own story, like how the name came about. But
oh
I'll tell
me.
you why I like the name. That really you guys came up with it, and I liked it because first of all, it's short and sweet, and it kind of tells you very quickly what it's all about. But one of the other reasons I liked it, and I'll tell you what. I don't know if I ever shared this with you guys, but so when you say prepped, obviously everybody's minds goes to the prepper community, right? And the
Yeah.
prepper
Hmm.
community, to me, is a very disciplined community because to be prepped in the full meaning of that word means you have to do your research, you have to go out and buy stuff, you have to basically train your family. There's a discipline. You
Hmm.
almost cannot be a prepper, right? The classic word, without being like pretty organized and pretty determined, and I guess you could say even stubborn, right? There's a discipline that goes into that.
Seems like a lot of
So
work.
it's a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's hard to be a prepper and like be kind of really lag about it. Okay, so I'm not saying we're that, but I like the fact that it leaned into that. And I'm not saying the podcast and our company is about that, but I like the fact that it leaned into that because, like I said, I believe there's like a certain discipline that this community has, and so I like that. And then you tie that to life, and if you can apply those principles to life and put life prep together, I feel like that was a very strong combination to describe what this company and podcast will be about. Like I said, I think it'll go beyond the prepper, classic prepper definition, and right. We
Yeah.
want to. I always thought how cool it would have been to have somebody in my life when I started out as a youngster, and I'm not saying I didn't, but be, that kind of mentored me what life is about, what you should be prepared for in life, and not just in an emergency situation. And so I don't know. I kind of tied myself to that part of the name, and I liked it. But like I said, I really love the fact that it leaned into that discipline. So anyway,
Hmm. Yeah, no, and it's something that you don't learn in regular school. Like, it's not like some of this stuff. Like, if you, like, my brother went to Boy Scouts when he came to America, And
Yeah.
since then he does have that, that tendency to, before we leave somewhere, or he goes out or whatever, he's like kind of always like making sure he's got stuff, because that's one of their mottos, right? Always be prepared.
Always be prepared. Yeah, I
So
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, so it, once it's in your blood, it's just an instinct, so a lot of people are just, they're just counting on help coming from somewhere, once the the bad stuff happens. Actually, there was a quote, it says, when disaster strikes, the time to prepare has passed. So
Yeah.
that's kind of late, once things already are not looking good, it's like panic mode. If you are prepared, it's going to be a whole different game. Mentally, you're going to be in a totally different place than your neighbors that are freaking out.
Yeah.
So again, and you can help others, obviously, and that's what we're encouraging, to get get some friends, get some a community around that you can trust. Also, we're going to be showing a lot of cool stuff, like for example, some, as far as defense, some people are totally new to self-defense, whether it's firearms, non-lethal stuff.
Hand to hand.
um, yeah, and then we're gonna be covering how to acquire some land, maybe outside the city. There's different ways, and we've done some research on that, and we have, a place that if something happens, we have a place where we can retreat from away. If you're living in a very close to a big city, chances are you're gonna be affected a lot more. So you're up in Michigan, we're here in Ohio. We live close to big cities, and a lot of people nowadays are concentrated in urban areas, and that's where you have to know, if you don't have an escape, at least maybe find somebody that does. Maybe you can plan with other families to do something about it. So yeah, we're going to be covering a lot of different facets, not just things that you have to buy, but strategies, just
Yeah.
to keep it in mind. And again, it's step by step.
Yeah, we're gonna have basically, the very affordable version of what you can do. You can have things that are just easier to do. For instance, like you don't want to buy a Berkey filter. That's cool. We have a video on how to actually make your own filter from almost from scratch. So there's
Yep.
we have a lot of information like that, and I think that's pretty important for everybody. We can't, everybody's comes from a different position, and I
Yeah.
think everybody should be able to be prepared in some way.
So that's definitely worth mentioning that along the way here, this is we hope to not only share information that we've learned regarding being prepared, but we will have guests on here to discuss various topics, experts hopefully in the field,
Yes.
like David said, and so it's not just us, but we have done a lot of research ourselves and learned and understand a lot of products, but it's going to be beyond that though. And regarding along the same lines here, just not long ago here in my city, there was a shooting. Is a multi shooting, like a few victims. Thank God nobody died. But what I wanted to mention from that, um, which I never thought about, the one of the people, one of the cops that was interviewed during that ordeal, he said, "Hey, you should. What should we do as a family? Blah blah blah." And one of the things he said is you should be situationally aware when you're in a place. And until then, I heard that word many times, but it kind of hit me that one. What does that mean? Oh, it means when I walk into a room or a restaurant or wherever, especially when these things do happen, unfortunately, I should be situationally aware. Where unless somebody tells me what that means and how to be, I would never think of that. Like it would never occur to me. Something simple as that. So I recently listened to a friend of mine who was talking about this, and we'll have people like that on the show talking about simple concepts like that. Like, hey, when you go into a restaurant, maybe sit face everybody else, not sit with your back to the door. Just an idea.
Yeah,
This
No,
was not
I
planned.
understand.
Hmm.
But there's a lot more tips like that that could really save your life. It could be, and like I said, we tend to talk a lot about leaving the city, or that. It's probably by habit, not necessarily because this discussion here is going to be about always this big, huge disaster. Of it could
Hmm.
be, like you said, it could be, the power's out for a week. What do you do? Maybe
Mhm.
there was a tornado that hit your town. What do you do? Um, anyway, sorry, I just thought I'd
Yeah,
brought
no,
that up.
No, it's good.
yeah, I think it's a
Um,
mindset. Yeah,
a
it's
mindset.
something
That's
that,
that's it.
Yeah.
That's the word I wanted to use in this situation. Like situational
yeah,
awareness. It has to
yeah,
be a mindset. It's not like in the when you can't just think about it in that moment. Like, oh, hold on, let me find where the how do I sit? No, it has
yeah.
to. You have to walk in and already know that. That's all the time we have for today on A Life Prepped. However, remember, whether you're a seasoned prepper or just getting started, Life Prepped is here to help you be prepared for anything in any emergency. For more tips, tricks, and expert advice, head on over to our website at lifeprep.com. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to our social media channels. We'd really love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. Also, join the conversation or continue the conversation using the hashtag LifePrepped. Till next time, have a great day.